My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Lamens, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hello, and welcome to Last Ball Drops. I'm Carson, joined here by Brenner and Fergus. How are you two doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this will be good. Lots of matches today. As you can see on a screen for the last 30 seconds, Sean has been accusing me of saying something that I definitely didn't say. I didn't say that. That was Brenner. He said that. So there's lots of tennis to talk about today. There is still one match going on. Monfils and Hugo Dellien are still in the fifth set, so we're going to start here. There's plenty of other matches to begin, some long matches, some short matches, straightforward ones that went back and forth, ones where Coco Gauff didn't even show up to the court with any tennis rackets in her bag. So that's my favorite moment of the day so far. But we'll start off with some women's draw, since there is still a men's match going on. Result that stood out to me that we can talk about, maybe a little bit of an upset, was Beatriz Haddad-Maia and Hailey Baptiste. 4-6, 6-3, 6-1 for Baptiste. She gets the win. Fergus, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's been quite a standout season for Baptiste so far. She's kind of made a lot of headway this season. And she was a dangerous pick first round for Haddad-Maia. Baptiste sitting at 17-11 this season, 7-4 this clay season. She was dangerous, and it's unfortunate because Haddad-Maia kind of got the ball rolling with a couple results. She was in really bad form at the start of the year and kind of got the ball rolling. But yeah, Baptiste coming back in three. Haddad-Maia didn't really take her chances, to be honest, and Baptiste did well on break points. I think that was kind of the biggest difference here.
Brenner, did you get to see any of it?
I did not watch any of it, but I do second what Fergus said. In terms of Baptiste, I watched her in person in Miami. That was in later half of March, and you could tell that she was kind of getting a swagger going. I feel like she does kind of play with that presence on court, and I guess it carries over into her game a bit. But for Haddad-Maia, I feel like we were having this conversation a couple of weeks ago. Kind of where is she defending her points? Where is she looking to do damage? And yeah, as Fergus mentioned, it is a little bit tough because she did get a little bit of traction going in Strasbourg, and eventually losing to Rybakina. But you would hope for maybe a little bit more out of her. But yeah, it's just like the slower conditions are difficult for her. Lefty and can definitely shape the ball, but just looks to shorten points more, and that's not as effective here. So definitely tough, but I think it's important for her to kind of just hit the next button and get ready for the next season, because she is that player that can have such a big peak and on quicker surfaces can do a lot better. So
a great win for Hailey Baptiste. She is going to be playing Nao Hibino in the next round. Nao Hibino won today in a matchup of two Japanese women. She played Moyuka Uchijima and won 6-1, 7-5. I'm not sure if either of you have thoughts on that, but we can move on if not some other matches.
The only thought I have is that Hibino hit 11 winners in the entire match and Uchijima hit 26. Kind of biggest standout stat there. Just complete opposite, but obviously unforced errors was 46 Uchijima managed to rack up. So yeah, I think that says everything we need to say about that.
Yeah, basically that's a lot of unforced errors for one match. Another match that I got to see quite a bit of today was Magdalena Freck and Ons Jabeur. This was a really tight first set. Freck won it in a tiebreak, 7-6, 7-4 in that tiebreak, and then Jabeur served for the first set, wasn't able to close it out. It was kind of downhill from there, and then lost the second set 6-love. Bit of a rough moment for Ons Jabeur. What do you think about this tournament, how her clay season has gone so far, and what's coming up for her, Brenner?
Yeah, definitely a tough one. As a fan, I feel like Ons Jabeur is a fan favorite, for tennis as a whole. And yeah, it's definitely difficult. I'll be honest, I didn't watch any of this match. I did know that she served for the first set though, and didn't get it done. You think about how that affected her mentally throughout the match. And I guess it also comes with the lack of play. She played in Madrid, was her first clay court tournament, and then got one win via a walkover, and then played Paulini, 3 and 4 in Rome, and then she arrived here. So I think for her, obviously, like the physical kind of situation is the most important one for her. And then it's kind of just self-belief and confidence on the court, because she does have the tools. She plays with such an interesting style, but, it just possesses so much variety. And I think, peak Ons Jabeur is someone we haven't seen in so long. So you just think about, I guess, speaking off of recency, but you think about Muchova, another player that you just want to see them, physically feeling good on court, because then we can at least get the better play out of them. But definitely a tough result today.
Any thoughts on this one, Fergus?
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, Brenner was talking about, like the best Jabeur we could hope for, and it's just a physical sort of thing at the moment, and we're just not getting it. She's kind of still trying to find her way physically this year, but it's her favorite time of the year coming up, and now she can kind of focus on that. So whether she puts all her energy into the next month and a half on the grass is something that we can look forward to. But Freck kind of just ran away with it in the second. Jabeur going for more, and Freck not having to do an awful lot, to be honest. Just kind of sat back and wait for the errors to come off the Jabeur racket. I mean, that drop shot is so lethal, like ridiculously lethal, but didn't quite run for her today. And yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment, but Freck would be happy to come through against someone that could have been a very tricky first round opponent.
That's a really good win for her. She's been playing well this year. It's very disappointing, I think, for Ons Jabeur to go out at the first round here. And love to see her in a moment of poor form. So, yeah, we wish the best for her going on this season. One of the tournament favorites that I feel like, Mirra Andreeva, had a good result today against Kristina Luska. 6-4, 6-3. It was a fairly straightforward win for her. Not much of a challenge. Break up in each set. Fergus, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, not as simple as I thought it was going to be for Andreeva. She was 4-2 down in the first. I think Buxa just kind of coming out the gates as hot as you can possibly get. And the forehand wasn't quite there for Andreeva. But then she won 4 games in a row, kind of took it out of Buxa's hands, and then had no doubts after that, really, that Andreeva would wrap it up in straights. She's defending semi-final points here, and she's been outstanding this season. Maybe not so much making so many waves on the clay this year as she was on the hard courts earlier this year. But yeah, it was definitely a strong result for her.
Yeah, very strong result for her. She's relatively been down in the last few weeks relative to the beginning of her season, going through the early spring. Renner, any thoughts on Mirra Andreeva and her chances here at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm just interested to see how she carries the burden of being, we'll just say, a top 5 favorite here. I feel like it's been difficult is getting to those bigger matches and just not being all there mentally, not being willing to fight. I say specifically against Coco. But yeah, I mean, overall, in your last clay event, just like being a favorite, being the one that is typically the younger player, but has so much potential and so much hype around her. It's just kind of how she carries herself, and I think these Spaniards are causing a little bit of trouble. As I wasn't sure that she was down a break in the first. I'm thinking Emma Navarro losing to Jessica Buzas. So I think these Spaniards have been able to cause trouble on their preferred surface. But ultimately, it's good to see Andreeva essentially make a comeback win and do things fairly routinely in the end. But yeah, I just want to see how she carries herself. I think that's like really just the most important piece here, match by match for her. And then when she does get to these bigger moments, bigger matches, it's how can she come in with like just maybe a more like standard approach. Don't overthink it too much. Don't get mentally absorbed by the opponent or the occasion. I know that's easier said than done, but she's now been in some of those moments at this point and won 1,000 level titles. She's capable of it, so I do expect that from her.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how she handles the pressure in some of these bigger moments. Her opponent in the next match, not necessarily the highest ranked, but someone who's just barely outside of the seats, is Ashlyn Krueger, who beat Susan Lamens 6-3, 6-4. That will be a great match. Some big hitting in that one. Did either of you get to catch any of this one?
Sorry. No, I'll go, I guess. No, I didn't catch any of this ones, but I was kind of thought that Lamens had this one. It was something that it was definitely a winnable first round for Lamens, especially after the form she showed at the Billie Jean King Cup. Obviously, that's a very different sort of environment, but you kind of hope that she has that ability to challenge at the big event, but not to be today, unfortunately, for Lamens. But good solid win for Krueger. Could definitely be a bit of a banana skin first round. But for those players in that sort of ranking situation, these round ones, getting that victory, no matter how it happens, is so crucial for ranking points and prize money. So yeah, great win for Krueger.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would echo that. And in terms of just kind of looking at the match facts here, it seems like none of them really could hold on to their serve. So it's just kind of a loose match. And yeah, Lamens is kind of, I don't know, her results haven't really backed it up, I don't think, but she's kind of been in every match she's played, if that makes sense. And maybe deserved more today, but good win for the American.
A really good win. That match with Andreeva is going to have a lot of balls that get hit very hard in it. I'm looking forward to that one. We'll move on to the match that, honestly, probably the most dominant performance of the day. Vika Azarenka with a win over Wickmeyer. 6-love, 6-love. I saw in match stats, Wickmeyer only won 15 points in this match, which is an insane number. I feel like I would feel so terrible if I was on a court for an hour and could barely win a point out there.
I've been there. It's okay. I've been there. Yeah. I think I don't know. I saw a tweet that said this is just I think it might have been from one of the guys I called Chris Goldsmith. He said it was a quick paycheck for Wickmeyer. Just, she's retiring at Wimbledon, isn't she? I believe.
I believe so.
I don't know that.
I think we said like people were retiring yesterday like 5 times, and we got corrected like 4 times. So I think she's retiring at Wimbledon. So yeah, this is a bit of a washout, but great result for Azarenka. Great confidence builder after a very stop-start season with injuries. So yeah, nice little confidence boost for Azarenka to get it done that dominantly in a sense.
Yeah.
It was definitely. Sorry, Brenner. Do you have something to add there?
No. I'm good. Yeah. Wimbledon retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can move on. Azarenka has a interesting matchup in the next one with a player who's been playing pretty well this year so far, Sofia Kenin, who of course is also a former finalist here in the French Open in 2020. She got a win today over Varvara Gracheva, 6-3, 6-1. Brenner, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, Sofia Kenin is one that you never can count out. Such a fighter, and you kind of see her as a prospect in this little section who could, earn herself a quarterfinal spot here. And in terms of today's match, she just goes about her business, I feel like, very well. Very well. I just think she can sometimes just zone out in a sense and get away from her game. But ultimately, just very, very solid off both wings, understands kind of the situation and circumstance well. And yeah, that should be a feisty one. I wonder if Jake agrees, but it should be a feisty match.
Yeah, no, it most likely will be. And to be honest, I was actually kind of hoping that today was going to be a little feisty between Kenin and Gracheva. Was it on Susan Longley, I think? I think it was first on.
For sure.
Yeah. And, Gracheva could have got the crowd involved, but, first match on never usually has that sort of full court. Right. Yeah, so it could have got a bit tasty, especially with how, sometimes Kenin can be on the shorter temper side, I would say, to put it nicely. But, yeah, super relaxed today from Kenin, didn't have to do too much. Wasn't trying to do too much, to be honest. She just kind of, put away the short ball and, played super well. And now is playing to her ranking. She had such a good end to the year last year where she was ranked around somewhere 65, 70 odd. Played well in Hong Kong, and then in Tokyo, she played well, made the semi-finals, and then of that 500, and then, played in Hong Kong as well. She ended strong and has got herself into this position where, she's seeded for these big events, and, it's going really well for her.
It really is. Kenin and Azarenka, that's going to be a really fun match. I think Kenin, former finalist here, another former finalist here, Karolina Muchova, in her first match back since the Miami Open, she falls today to Alicia Parks, 3-6, 6-2, 2-6 in the third. Muchova is one of these players that always just seems like she's struggling with health a little bit and only able to get one match here. It was always going to be a tough matchup against Alicia Parks, who's a massive hitter, but consistency has been a problem for her. Curtis, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, Parks is kind of taken to the clay really well. I think I first watched Parks last year in the final round of qualifying of Wimbledon, where she just hit such a clean ball. Like a ridiculously clean ball. I'm actually gonna correct myself. She's taken to clay better than I thought she would have. As in, I thought she would struggle quite a lot. but, you know, she's got a couple wins, and this is her third one of the clay season. But, yeah, Muchova, it's disappointing, again, to have to deal with these physical issues. You know, someone that has all the ingredients to be one of the top players and is one of the top players, but just, you know, body issues just holding it back, unfortunately. And today was another example. But yeah, Parks will be very happy to get through that one. You know, she's opened up the draw a little bit now, so yeah, good for Parks, but unfortunate for Muchova.
Yeah, agree. I mean, let's be fair about Parks in terms of the surface. I think it's just her second win out of 6 events on the surface. So yeah, I'm with Fergus. It's not like we had a lot of like heavy predictions going into it. But yeah, I guess the storyline is more about Karolina Muchova, who, you know, was in this final, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, or maybe the semi. Sorry, no, it was the final. But you know, just such an important player, I feel like, for the women's game in terms of you know, her power, her variety, and just kind of like another one of those players who you know, is right there in terms of being, you know, on the outside looking in terms of you know, a major threat to these top players on the tour. And so it's similar to Ons in a sense. That's why I compared the two, because these two players can give the best in the world trouble, especially at these bigger events. And that's what, you know, we want as fans and want to see her thriving. So it's really just difficult. I didn't watch much of the match at all, but, you know, I heard that the Parks big hitting was on full display. And so it's obviously that's great for Alicia Parks. But yeah, the bigger story is Muchova heading into grass season.
Jane, the ball has dropped early today, but we've stated this at the start. The Delian Monfils match is still going on, in case anyone's curious. I don't know why you wouldn't be up to date, but in case anyone's curious, it's currently deuce on the Delian serve at 3-love Monfils in the 5th.
Yeah, Monfils has had a break point in this game, wasn't able to convert it, so we're keeping an eye on that one, and I'm sure we will talk about that one eventually. Either way, it's been a good match. Talk about a couple more women's matches here before we switch over to the men's side. I'll appease Fergus since he's the Brit among us, but Sinead Cartel got a quite impressive win over Mirra Andreeva today. 6-love, 6-2. That might be the best I've seen her play. Like in time.
I, funny enough, did catch all of this one. In case you didn't guess. Cartel literally just super consistent, putting the ball on a spot, barely missed, and Andreeva just couldn't deal with it. The super heavy spin on the forehand, pushing Andreeva off basically to the back of the court, and then just kind of sneaking forward whenever she could, really. She was just then putting away that short ball. The Andreeva second serve was not there today, unfortunately, for her, and she never really posed a threat. Yeah, was super simple for Cartel, and she now has Bushkova in the second round, which, you know, is kind of winnable from my perspective.
Runner, you have any thoughts on this one?
All good.
All right. Yeah, Fergus mentioned that she will be playing Marie Buskova next, who got a 6-4, 7-5 victory over Anna Kalinskaya, the 30th seed Kalinskaya, another player that's been dealing with some injury issues throughout the season. So tough to see her go out in the first round. I do quickly, before we do just a very quick rundown of the rest of the matches. Well, first, Gael Monfils has broken Delian, so he's now up 4-love in the 5th set. Playing very well after a really tough fall in the first set, and then losing the first 2 sets. Looks like another come back from 2-0 down, which we'll talk about a couple of those on the men's side in just a moment. Do briefly want to talk about Coco Gauff. She's one of the favorites coming into this tournament. Previously mentioned, but she did show up to the tennis courts today without any rackets in her bag, which seems maybe to be the fault of her coach, who always puts the rackets in. So all good fun there as she gets a 6-2, 6-2 victory over the Australian Olivia Gadecki. Gauff will. She has a little bit of an open draw here. Anything? Did either of you pull anything from this match to? I gave you insight into her tournament and her prospects here.
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point in terms of her draw. I guess that is the benefit of being the 2 seed, but there's really no one here who's given her a big challenge on the surface. We'll kind of see how it all pans out, but one match at a time. But yeah, she should be happy with how she's feeling and how she's playing.
Wasn't it Tiafoe that forgot his rackets in Indian Wells against Watanuki?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just wanted to confirm that. Yeah. Super chill for Gauff. She's actually my favorite to get to the final. She has a very nice draw. She's playing super well. Yeah, super simple. And the getting through these early rounds with as minimal of fuss is exactly what she needs, to be honest. Just quickly going to Nerland's question. I don't feel like they're underrated as a sense. I feel like it just depends on conditions. It's super condition dependent on if Brits are underrated. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know the last time we had 3 women all inside the top 50. So yeah, that's a big stepping stone for British women's tennis at the moment. So that's my answer.
Well, let's go through these other matches quite quickly. Jessica Pegula, 6-2, 6-4 victory over Anke Ferdoni. Ferdoni, I think, is someone that a lot of people expect to do quite well in the women's game over the coming years, but she's still very young. Elise Mertens falls in 3 sets to Lois Boysen. That was 4-6, 6-4. I said that wrong. 6-4, 4-6, 6-3. Boysen moves on. And then Yulia Putintseva gets a win over the Argentine Solana Sierra. 7-6, 6-2. Either of you have thoughts on any of those matches?
Yeah, I mean, the Mertens one's is definitely an interesting one. I guess that's a talking point because Mertens, typically one of those players that just goes through a few rounds, kind of almost at every event. Allows her to keep her ranking up. I don't know her opponent, so I honestly can't speak to that. But that's interesting. And then I think Putintseva with a good win today over Solana Sierra. Just plays like a wall. Makes you hit so many balls, and definitely frustrating on the other side. So she's someone you don't really want to see on this surface because she's gonna make you work for it more than others would.
Definitely. I'll just run through the rest of these women's matches quick, just so that I can say that I named all of them. Joanna Garland did Katie Olinuts in 3 sets today, 6-3, 3-6, 6-4, and Lee, the American, beats Maria Lourdes Carl 6-4, 6-love. And then Teresa Valentova defeated Chloe Paquette 4-6, 6-3, 7-5, 18-year-old from the Czech Republic. Czechia, another Czech player coming up. She plays Coco Gauff next. Annalena Kalina gets a 6-1, 6-2 victory today. And then Marketa Vondrousova, another player who's coming back, defeated Selva Cometa 6-4, 6-4. Any thoughts on any of those matches before we move to the men's draw?
Just super happy to have Vondrousova back on court after obviously a long chunk out. I think was her last match in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, it's a big chunk out. So glad to have her back on court. Yeah.
Who did you just mention, Fergus? Sorry, I missed that.
Vondrousova.
Oh, yeah. That's right. It has been a while for her.
Also, Sakkari out first round.
Yeah,
Slam again.
That's tough because I feel like she. Maybe I'm just name biasing it a little bit, but I was like, all right, like she's making some steps in Rome and like had to come through qualies, which is ridiculous, but she did it. Allows you to get maybe a little bit more rhythm and confidence on the surface, and just not to be.
All right, we'll move over to
is about to finish, I think.
Looks like it. We might need another service game. Monfils up 5-love. Delian is serving and up 30-love in the game. So that one, it looks like that should be over fairly quickly at this point. We'll start off with another match where for the men's draw, someone who came from down 2-love. Felix Auger-Aliassime lost to Matteo Arnaldi today. It was 5-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-4, 6-2. Arnaldi pulls this one out after going down and playing a fairly poor second set. Fergus, what are your thoughts on this as Auger-Aliassime loses another match where he was up 2-love?
This is now the third slam out of 4 where he's lost when he was 2-love up. Yeah, I watched the end of the 4th and the 5th. Super tough. There was Arnaldi completely conducting the crowd completely at the end in the 5th. There was clearly scar tissue for FAA, and there was actually, it was I think 4-2 and 4-2 I think to Arnaldi in the 5th, and there was a volley on top of the net that Auger-Aliassime would have 100% wanted to make, and he missed it. It would have been break point, but it just got away from him, and I felt as though it kind of, as soon as it went to that 5th, it was never going to be, and it's really disappointing for FAA. Just wasn't there, but great result for Arnaldi.
Absolutely. Brenner, we got to catch the very end of this one. Are you taking anything away from this moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just history repeating itself at this point. It's definitely concerning. I feel like it's tough for, Canadian tennis fans at this point. I mean, I'm not a huge Felix Auger-Aliassime fan, I'll be honest, but I do, I did think that there was an opportunity for him to kind of get back into form after, like the hard court swing in February, going to, what did he win a title? I don't know. Yeah, he won a few titles at the start of the year. He goes to the final in Dubai and lost that one to Tsitsipas. And he was playing good tennis, and I'm always for a lot of these players, it's like more about their mental than anything. And, he's one that I feel like it just like fluctuates too often. And you hear him speak and it's interesting because I feel like he is very honest about himself and his approach. But man, I mean, especially like the type of opponent that you're losing to going up to love. I said it on the stream earlier, but, Fokina was in Australia. These Arnaldi today, it's these players who their base level is, just inside like the top 40, top 50.
I mean, Kokonakis in Wimbledon.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That match is still a little bit more fuzzy to me, but it doesn't matter. You're up 2-love. You need to be commanding. You need to be aggressive. I'm with Fergus here. I only caught the tail end of the 4th and the rest of the 5th, and it felt like the match was just over. You know what I mean? Like, you knew it was going to happen. It was interesting, though, because Felix does survive like a really difficult love 40 hold at 3-5 to stay in that fourth set, and then just doesn't sniff an opportunity. You know, you expect that Arnaldi maybe having some nerves trying to close out that set. None of it. But I feel like that's something, I don't want to go off too much of a rant, but, you know, these are the type of player like Arnaldi, you know, he's going to go for it. You know, he's going to be risk-free, fearless in a sense. Yeah, you can get tight, but players need like something to go back to. And I feel like Felix doesn't necessarily have that drive in him, that game style that allows him to like move forward and kind of be confident in his game. I guess the last thing I'll touch on is like this clay season was poor. I mean, it was terrible, and I feel like he was honest about that. He was honest about that in an interview with Talking Tennis as well. And you know, that's important as a player. That's what I'd like to take away. But I saw like a glimpse of hope last week in Hamburg, playing against Alexander Mueller, who I feel like I've been talking about a lot, but just like a player that's annoying to play against, makes a lot of balls, super athlete, wicked backhand. And Felix loses. He fails to clutch out the match in the second set. He saw 4 match points. And I'm thinking, like we all are, like, oh, it's going to be a tough third set for him. But he finds like a fairly early break and kind of cruises to the finish line. So I'm like, okay, that's awesome. But man, it's just the same story. It's just the same story, and it's too bad. It's too bad for Canadian tennis. I don't have much hope for Felix.
Yeah, it's
Monfils gets it done.
And we will move on now to another player who just came down from 2 sets to love. Gael Monfils has finished the match against Hugo Dellien, wins 4-6, 6-3, 6-1, 7-6, 6-1. Fergus, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's just Monfils at Roland Garros, right? What was it against Baez in lockdown? Yeah, when he was quite literally on the brink. What was it, 4-1 in the third? And then he just turned it on, really. But yeah, that fourth set was kind of where everything changed, right? I mean, Dellien broke for 5-all, and you kind of expect Dellien to come to him for then, but Monfils regroups in the breaker, and it's really good. It's super strong, and then, you know, that's it. You know, Dellien's out of the picture. 19 aces is pretty impressive on a clay court, to be honest. Especially against someone with Dellien's sort of clay court prowess. Dellien is a clay court specialist by no stretch of the imagination. So yeah, super strong from Monfils. Does it again. How much has he got in the tank at 38 years old to make a deep run in this tournament? Well, I'm not going to comment because I'll get called biased in the chat because he's got Draper next. But yeah.
Noted. I think the most important takeaway is that he's come out of this match. He's healthy. First set, took a tough spill, able to recover. Dellien on clay is never going to be easy. I think it's a huge win for the tournament, for the because there's been so much talk about, you know, night matches and I guess their lack of atmosphere and competitive matches. But, you know, here we go. We got a good one. And, of course, it's Gael Monfils doing the job. So,
Gael Monfils will play again in 2 days. Hopefully he's healthy for that one. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much does he have left in the tank to make a run here. He's also got a pretty good opponent in the next match, Jack Draper, who played today against Matteo Bellucci. He moves on 3-6, 6-1, 6-4, 6-2. Brenner, what are your thoughts on this one?
You know, smooth sailing after a hiccup to start the match. And it was a hiccup that really didn't last long. You know, he's down 5-1. I think Bellucci's serving for it. Is that correct, Fergus? And then Draper goes on a run. It was obviously like catching my eyes because I didn't think, I mean, I like a lefty-lefty matchup, of course. Bellucci has kind of just been a flop. So I I guess, a flop since Rotterdam. But yeah, I mean, I think he does prefer quicker surfaces, so I'll just like leave it at that. But good for Draper to have a chance to come back at a major event and, you know, just continue to solidify his spot as a true contender here for some.
Fergus, tell us what you take away from this one.
Yeah. Listen, Bellucci started like completely off the scales, sort of forehand. Like first game, he was absolutely ripping it, and yeah, it was great to see. But I think Damien put in a takes in a tweet really well that it kind of felt like Bellucci only just got that set. You know, it was 5-1, Draper breaks, Draper holds, then was up, love 40, has 4 break points at 5-3. Bellucci saves all of them are holds, and then Draper completely ran away with it. There was no, after that 5-1 point in the first set, there was no real doubt put into my mind that Bellucci would pose any more of a strong threat. I mean, second set lasted 23 minutes, and then yeah, was very strong from Draper. Just took a little while to almost like kind of get into the rhythm of the match. Then the forehand started firing. Bellucci couldn't hang in the backhand to backhand rallies with it being lefty to lefty. Bellucci pushing a lot more on the backhand side instead, with Draper just so much more compact. A lot of Bellucci's backhands floated long, and then the drop shot was big throughout the match for Bellucci, and he was nailing all of them first set, and then after first set just disappeared. So that's all my insight from you in about 30 seconds for that match.
Yeah, it should hopefully be a good one, provided that Monfils is healthy. We can talk briefly about that one. They played once in Canada in 2022. Draper did win that match in a second set. Monfils retired in that though, so these two have barely played one set against each other. Fergus, I'll start with you. What do you think is going to happen here in between these two?
I'm just looking at Ghosty's comment. No, I see this as another sort of like 4-setter, to be honest, towards Draper. Maybe Monfils can pull out a really big level, you know, home crowd. But, you know, Monfils has made it clear in the last couple years that clay isn't his surface anymore. Simple as that. He needs the extra pace in the surface to make his shots land and give him that extra, you know, bounce and spin that he needs to, you know, defeat his opponents. And that's why it was a real struggle for a long time against Delian today. But yeah, this is another one that goes 4 for me, maybe even 3. But no more than that for me. Draper in 3.5.
Yeah, Brenner, ask for your prediction in a moment, but make the case for Gael Monfils here. What does he need to do to pull this one out?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, he's going to have to serve huge. He's going to have to look to play shorter rallies. I guess attack the backhand. I feel like that's kind of been my thing with Draper, is how clean he is off both wings. I just feel like Gael trying to play a strategic, slower match is not going to benefit him here. I feel like Draper plays with too much angle at this point, and he's just going to get him off the court. That's a really good. I really like that, Carson. I wasn't expecting that, and I gave you a bad answer. So
You've completely stitched him there, like absolutely stitched him.
You win.
What is your prediction though for this match?
I hate to be that guy. I just think it's Draper in 3, fairly casual. Fairly casual, yeah. Like I said,
Which is
Go ahead.
by the way what Draper kind of needs at this point. We saw it so often with Murray that he would play the most unnecessary 5 sets ever and then have that little bit less in the tank for the next one, right? And it's nice to watch a Draper slam match where he doesn't unnecessarily take it to 5 after the 3 in Australia. It was quite refreshing today to, watch him, pretty easily take that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to see him move on. Hopefully it will be an exciting match. Another one we'll talk about, this is a bit of an upset. Joao Fonseca and Hubert Hurkacz faced off today. Fonseca gets the win in straight sets, 6-2, 6-4, 6-2. We did a watch along for this one early on. Brenner, this was just kind of a straightforward match, honestly. Fonseca got a break early in every single set. Hurkacz just felt like he was never really in it. What are you thinking about after this one?
Yeah, that's how I felt. I think the Geneva run took a lot out of him, both physically and mentally, and didn't have his stuff today. Fonseca was able to fly fairly freely and got those early breaks, and then Hubie's kind of left there thinking. I mean, he got maybe 2 looks at a break at 15-40, like at some point. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's great for Fonseca. I didn't think he did exceptionally well by any means, but I just didn't think he had to. That's kind of my takeaway here.
Yeah, I mean, quickly, yes. Actually, Novak did play today. I assume we'll come on to that very shortly. That's actually kind of perfect timing. That's kind of set up our next talking point, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Hurkacz was not at the races today whatsoever. The serve wasn't there. Fonseca, when it was there, Fonseca was all over the first serve. And, having your 2 wins in Grand Slam tennis be Rublev and Hurkacz in this era of tennis, that's not 2 bad names at all. Both multiple Masters 1000 winners. So, yeah, absolutely. Fonseca's forehand, just, a joke as always, just so big. But there was more variety in his game today in terms of, putting more height over the net in some of his points, especially on the bigger points. And I feel like that's what he needs to do when he creates that variety of the height over the net combined with his absolutely huge, super flat forehands. It becomes a lot harder to read and it becomes more unpredictable. But yeah, Hurkacz not at the races today, clearly overshadowed by Geneva.
And the wicked second serve or first serve that I feel like, I don't know, me and Fergus have had some fun conversations about it, but it's just such a sneaky weapon in a sense, a consistent kicker that comes in with so much pace and, jumps off the court. It just sets up his +1 so beautifully. And, it's just as good as a free point. He doesn't have to hit it 135 miles an hour, but it's just as good as one. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about Novak next. Contrary to what everyone in chat is saying right now, Novak did not lose today. So, McDonald is a good tennis player, not quite that good on this occasion. 6-3, 6-3, 6-3, same score in every single set. Brenner, start with you. Did you catch any of this match, and how are you feeling about Novak coming into Roland Garros here?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I think an awesome draw. Mackie McDonald, not a clay court player, definitely a fighter, but I think it was more of a storyline was him asking for the roof to be closed. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah. That took like 15 minutes. They were
that always gets the community riled up. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I guess there's a lot to be happy about. I think, or for him at least, that was an awesome week in Geneva. Got it done. Played some very, very tough matches, and that's good for him. Does that give me higher hopes for Roland Garros? Not really. Not really. I mean, once again, I'm still a guy that'll say never count him out, but I'm not gonna To be fair, I had Cerundolo over him. Cerundolo is no longer in the tournament, so that does allow him to get closer in the power rankings.
I thought you went Juan Manuel, but that's what we were saying yesterday.
True.
Yeah. No, nothing really to say here. Novak making it 19 out of 19, I think, first round matches. Yeah, Roland Garros without dropping a set, just super chill. Super good.
Yeah, Novak does have quite a difficult path to the title here. Zverev is in his path. Sinner or Draper could be in his path. And then Carlos Alcaraz on the other side of the draw.
What about Mute? Have they played? They've sure they've played a few times before. Anyway, that will be it'll be interesting to see Mute kind of mess with Djokovic.
Oh, I mean, Mute. He's going to be an absolute clown. He's going to get the crowd on his side. It's going to be a very entertaining match. If we're making picks on it, I'm not necessarily picking Corton Mute to upset Novak right now. We'll talk about Zverev here. We got a win over Lerner Tien today. Tien not able to back up, getting victories in the Australian Open at the beginning of the year, or his victory against Zverev earlier this season. 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. We did a watch along for this early on in the day. Europeans, that was middle of the day, I suppose. In America, quite early in the day. Fergus, how do you feel do you feel differently about Zverev's chances after coming through what could be a difficult match against Tien?
Not particularly, no. Zverev has, even striking even less of a tone on this tournament for me than he was at the beginning of the year. Everyone's saying when he signed up for the tournaments in Rio and Buenos Aires that he was just giving his clay a bigger opportunity to push for this title as possible. Made little to no waves in those tournaments, and then has made little to no waves since, except obviously the title in why has it left my mind what the title is called?
A good question. I don't remember.
Well,
yes.
Which one are we thinking
of? The clay title he literally won
Zverev, Munich.
Yeah, Munich.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Don't know where that went. Sorry, my bad. Apart from that, he's not been making any waves. And, Tien's not a clay quarter by any stretch of the imagination. Tien took down Zverev in Acapulco. And, those are very different conditions. So, very simple, straightforward for Zverev. And he's, again, like Novak, looking to kind of make light work of these early rounds and, really prepare himself when it gets serious in round 4, quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
If he makes it. Just putting it there right now.
Brenner, how do you feel about his chances going forward?
Same. I mean, he's still that number 3 for me. I think, today was pretty straightforward and got the job done. But, he's going to have a tester with De Jong, so it'll be maybe a little bit more physical. I don't know.
Could be. Let's talk about Medvedev and Norrie here. This one went to 5 sets. Norrie pulls out the victory 7-5, 6-3, 4-6, 1-6, 7-5 in the 5th set. Fergus, I'll start with you. How are you feeling after Medvedev wins sets 3 and 4, and talk us through set 5 and what Norrie did there?
It was definitely interesting. At 3-all, I think it was 15-40 on the Medvedev serve. I was kind of thinking Norrie can break here. He's wrapped it up in 3, which was the last thing I was expecting to happen, to be honest. Medvedev had a complete meltdown. sets 1 and 2. Like, one of the worst I've seen. Just complete, like, shouting at his corner, like, so infuriated with what's going on court. And then he gets over the line with the 1 set point in sets 3. Cruises through sets 4. Norrie really struggling with the serve at the beginning of set 5. Medvedev breaks. Norrie sticks around, makes Medvedev serve it out, and Medvedev completely crumbles with the serve. Completely. Like, Love 40 misses the backhand on top of the net. Never should have missed that. Norrie breaks, and then tough hold again, and Norrie breaks again for the match. I mean, probably it's by far Norrie's best result in over a year since he beat Ruud at the AO in 2024. Norrie played well, as in I've been starting to see this kind of slowly build for Cam. After dropping to like 93rd in the rankings, he then made round 3 at Madrid, round 2 in Rome, the semi-finals of Geneva, and you know it's been a half decent clay court swing for Cam. So yeah, I was super happy to get the result. He was obviously very happy to get the result, and I think he deserves it. But Medvedev, I think that's the 6th time he's gone out in round 1 at Roland Garros, which kind of just sums it up. See you, Jake.
See you, Jake. Have a good night.
Yeah, I won't go too far after that, but great win for Norrie, and I do think he's actually played some good ball the last few weeks. I thought he had a good chance against Joker, but you know, not to be there. But hey, man, it's a little bit of redemption from Rome. Yeah. So yeah,
I actually thought this was. I'd like to put it on record now. If people go and watch the live of us reacting to the draw, I said Norrie would win in 5, and our producer laughed in my face and said that Medvedev would win in 3. So if anyone wants to go look at that, that would make me very happy. Thanks.
Yeah. And maybe there's a clip of that floating around out there. Norrie moves on. He's going to be facing Federico Agustin Gomez next. I do want to talk about Jakub Mensik and Alexander Muller next. I thought that this would be a very interesting match today, and it was close for the majority of the day. Mensik gets the victory 7-5, 6-7, 7-5, 6-3 in 4 sets. Brenner, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an awesome match. I think it lived up to, I guess I hyped it up a little bit. I think it was a battle of the backhands in a sense. I mean, man, you gotta credit, I guess, Mensik here for kind of his composure as a 19-year-old dealing with the crowd, the situation. I mean, Mueller was serving for that 3rd set, which obviously kind of changes everything. Ends up failing to serve it out, and then gets broken from 40 love up, which is crazy. I think that changes the match completely. And, you know, the 4th was a little bit more one-sided, but yeah, I mean, this speaks to Mensik and where he's at as a player, and I guess the mental side of it as well. I mean, just very, very impressive from a 19-year-old. Got to be, you know, I guess I had maybe more question marks about his game on clay and how it would kind of translate. And yeah, you know, he's been great. So,
Fergus, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, listen, this just builds on the Mensik train, right? You know, Muller was a very tough opponent, and you know, as it's being said in chat, you know, it reminded me a little bit of Novak, kind of, you know, conducting the crowd. Great result for Mensik. Could have very easily been a 1st-round exit here. Muller playing some really great tennis, obviously took the 1st title of his career this year, not on the clay in Hong Kong at the very start of this year against Nishikori in the final. But yeah, I mean, Mensik just looking super compact on the backhand, and the forehand is a weapon. I will still die on the hill that Mensik has a better level than Fonseca does. But yeah, I think it's very, very strong. And Mensik has an okay draw. I think he has an okay draw.
Yeah,
it's relatively fine. De Minaur is there. But if he gets past De Minaur, it's Rublev or Fees are the seeds. So there's room for him to make a run here.
Yeah, and I'd be very, very interested to see De Minaur Mensik, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a really good match. Mensik will play the Portuguese qualifier, Henri Rocha, next. Might be saying that a little bit incorrectly. We mentioned Alex De Minaur briefly there. We'll talk about him. He had a match against Laszlo Zverev today. Zverev always seems to be a tough opponent in Grand Slams. 3-set victory for Alex, 6-3, 6-4, 7-6. Brutus, tell us your thoughts on this.
Sorry, I'm just reading Ghosty's comment. Yeah, De Minaur maybe the best on tour at beating guys below him. Like, as in, actually, I saw someone tweet the other day saying, if you're gonna bet on one tennis player, you want to bet on Alex De Minaur, because he will always beat the guys below him, and it's such a bank move. I think he has a ridiculous record of wins of guys ranked above him, but it was definitely someone that could have posed a threat in Jabeur. But yeah, super solid again from Alex, defending quarterfinal points here. So yeah, super happy for him to get it done. And in 3, which is kind of what he does. He kind of, makes light work of these early rounds, and, he doesn't really have too many issues, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a much bigger win for De Minaur than people would kind of expect. If you're just like a casual on the outside looking in, Jerry, as Fergus mentioned, such a tough out at Grand Slams, but especially on the clay. And this is I guess it's a tough first round matchup for any seed. But I think for De Minaur, like Jerry being like a big ball striker, flat hitter, actually helps him out a little bit, relying a little bit more on, defense and counterpunching, not having to generate as much of his own power. And I unfortunately didn't get to watch any of this match, but the news that hurt was the fact that Jerry did serve for that third set. He had two set points and didn't get it done. And then from there, you kind of know what's going to happen with Demon. He just, clutches up, and he's essentially just a pest. But yeah I mean, the guy's just so good at making you hit extra balls and making it just such a tough test out there. So yeah, I mean, not someone I have here that he's not in my, probably even top 8 power rankings for French Open contenders, but as long as he gets through the path, then he'll be playing someone reputable and just give himself an opportunity.
But I think it's sorry, you go.
No, you can go if you have another shot there.
Yeah. Quickly, Ashley, Demon's ranking right now live is 9, and you playing De Minaur on a clay court, he makes the margins so small, because he has nearly every square inch of the court completely on lockdown. And that's what he does. And, he forces you into playing the bigger shot, and then you miss, and then suddenly you're out of the match. It's just as simple as that. And he's so good at it, and he does it every single match. And, he's producing more weapons as his tennis gets better, especially on the backhand. His backhand is super compact, super flat, and it's actually really quite good. It's very strong. I'd say it's bigger than his forehand by a sizable distance. But yeah, it's yeah, it's just what he does. He just makes the court look absolutely tiny.
Yeah, we'll just go through the rest of these matches really quickly here. De Minaur is going to be facing Alexander Bublik, who got a win in 3 sets over James Duckworth today. Adam Walton got a 5-set victory over Maximilian Martyr. Corentin Moutet, we briefly mentioned him earlier. He gets a 3-set win. He plays Novak next. And then Andrei Rublev beats friend of the show, Lloyd Harris, in 4 sets, 6-4, 4-6, 6-3, 6-1. Do either of you have thoughts on any of those matches?
Unfortunately, I did not catch any of those. No, so I do not. I'm hoping Brenner has at least one thought.
I was a little off on listening in on which matches, but I don't know, Bublik. I'm always happy to talk about Bublik. I did not watch that match. But yeah, he's through on clay. It's awesome. Did we talk about De Jong yet?
No. Just getting to that one. But,
okay. You mentioned Rublev?
Yes, no. I did.
Yeah. I mean, I watched that match pretty much start to finish. Rublev's level was fairly consistent. I was actually impressed with Lloyd Harris. You know, he's hopefully we get to see him kind of have a breakout in the grass season, but you know, he's still finding his footing, not really a clay quarter, but yeah, he kind of hung around with Rublev. Rublev's level continued to get better. I'd say the backhand looking really good. So that's really positive moving forward.
I'll just quickly go through these last few matches. Alexander Shevchenko got a 3-set victory over Dusan Milojevic. Jesper De Jong, group runner Jesper, he got a 5-set victory. Moves on today. Flavio Cavalli, who's been playing some good tennis recently, beat Marin Cilic in straight sets, dropping just 6 games along the way. And then maybe the disappointing of the news up today was Grigor Dimitrov having to retire against Ethan Wynn when he was up 2-1. Renner, you brought up the Jesper De Jong match. What did you think about that 5-set victory for him?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fighter-esque performance. Going down 2 sets, probably shouldn't have anyway, but nonetheless did and found his way to claw back and get this victory. I think it's important for, you know, a player who prefers the surface and, you know, has had results here in the past. I mean, he took a set off Alcaraz last year. And, you know, that's like important for a player to, you know, do as well as they can on their preferred surface. Pissarro obviously has caused problems for some players as of late. So, you know, don't take anything away from him. And De Jong was up for the challenge. It was definitely a high level, like, contested battle, very much back and forth, and he was able to prevail. So, yeah, I just like his mentality, his game as a whole.
Fergus, another tournament here where Grigor Dimitrov has to retire very early on here. It's been a very difficult season for him. He's been dealing with injuries all year long. Where do you see his year going from here?
Yeah, it's really tough for Grigor at the moment. We kind of don't know what's going to happen. I mean, in the best way, looking at it from a bright perspective for Quinn's side, I mean, it's second round of a slam. But for Grigor's side, I just hope he takes these 2 weeks to fully recover from whatever's been bothering him for clearly the last couple months. And he's never fully put himself in a position to get 100% back to full fitness. So I hope he takes these 2 weeks to fully rest, recuperate before Wimbledon. I believe Dimitrov's supposed to be playing Queens, actually. So, or maybe Halle. But we'll see. But it's really sad for Grigor, and I wish him all the best. Ghosty Gaston did pull out, yeah, so Shelton's automatically into round 3, where he will maybe play Tsitsipas.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my final thoughts are, yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean, Demi is such a fun player to watch, very well liked in the locker room, and has that ability to pose threats to the top players, and we just haven't seen it for a while. Obviously, wish him the best health-wise.
Absolutely. Wish him all the best, and hopefully he gets healthy. It's been an issue even in Australia during the Oceania swim. Just struggling a little bit, so we're pretty close to wrapping up here, but we're getting a little bit short on time. I'm just wondering if each of you have a match or two from both the men's and women's draw that you're going to be looking forward to tomorrow.
I'm going to pull a Damien, and I'm going to say Cerundolo Medvedev as my men's match. And for my women's match, I'm going to go Collins Danilovic. That should be very interesting.
That should be a fun one. We do have a preview of that on the channel, so once we're done here, you can go and watch that video. Brenner, what matches are you looking for tomorrow?
Carlos Marijon, but I guess if that's a square answer, I like Poppy Rintabio. That's I guess that has, does that not have popcorn match written all over it?
Does that not have 5 sets written all over it?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much, Ashley. Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah.
And then I guess my women's match, doing a quick look here. Why not Victoria Mboko? Why not? She's playing Italy. Yeah.
She is.
So, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I think matches I'm looking forward to. Casper Ruud is playing Nuno Borges. I think that should be a fun one. Maybe a small upset alert. And then Sebastian Offner, who's been coming back from injury, will play Karen Khachanov. So that's on the men's side. And then
second time in 2 weeks, right?
Second time in 2 weeks. Diana Schneider will play Diana Yastremska. That one I think will be really interesting. And then Iga Swiatek will play Emma Raducanu. Maybe a bit of a cheating answer, but you'll see all of us on that match tomorrow for a watch-along. Looking forward to that.
The exact same 3 guys will be sat right here at a time. Third on, what is it? Third on
center.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
No,
so join us for that.
Hopefully you're not sick of listening to all of us talk, because if you join us for that, you'll get a little bit more of it. Any other thoughts that you have, takeaways from day 3, the final day of the first round in Roland Garros?
Join us tomorrow.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Carson. Thanks, Fergus.
Thanks, Carson.
You all
Thanks, Bruno.
have a good evening, and we'll see you all later.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.